Good evening, class. We are going to do a quick review of last week's lesson. Last week we talked about fragment types number 2, run-on sentences and comma spices 1 and 2, as well as the comma and the apostrophe. We'll start with the most simplest part. So we'll go with the comma. The comma is used to separate 3 or more items in a series. Excuse me. For example, the girl liked oranges, apples, and lemons. Those were her favorite fruits. So just give an example. So we're going to use a comma 3 times to separate a series in a sentence. Also, another way that a comma can be used, the comma is used to separate introductory materials from the rest of the sentence. So if you were using a sentence that says, for example, comma, and then the remaining of the sentence, which would be the predicate. Third, the comma is used between 2 complete thoughts connected by and, but, or so, which is a joining word. So if we want to combine 2 complete thoughts as one whole sentence, we will use and, but, or so. But it will be first used, a comma will first precede those words known as a joining word. That's also a key point to remember when talking about comma slices and run-on sentences, how to correct them. Remember, your comma is always going to be before the joining word. We also talked about apostrophes on last week. Apostrophes. The apostrophe takes the place of one or more missing words in a contraction. They are. He is, or he's, there. Will not. Okay? Remember all your apostrophes. Apostrophes takes the place of a missing letter inside of a word known as a contraction. Also, the apostrophe shows ownership or possession of something. So, it's hers. Just keep in mind things like that when we're talking about the apostrophes as well as the commas. One of the main things that I want you to grasp the concept of is fragments. Fragments are words, or sentences rather, that lack a complete subject, verb, or complete thought. A lot of times it can be wrong because of one of those 3 reasons, which are your most common fragments. Also, a sentence can be lacking the correct punctuation or how it's formed to pretty much make the word wrong. Let's look at some examples. The first being, he is there. He is where. The guards are at the castle. The guards are at the castle and they did what? Went to the store. Who went to the store? These particular sentences are lacking either a subject or a verb. Now let's look at one that is complete, but the punctuation is off. For instance, this is an example from your test on week 3. The first question states, I had ice cream on my shopping list, period, but forgot to buy it, period. My family was not happy with me, period. Although this is a complete sentence having a subject, verb, and a complete thought, the punctuation is completely wrong in the sentence. Is chopping up the complete sentence. So we need to know, where can we eliminate the period? Where can we add a comma or a semicolon or anything of that nature to make the punctuation in the sentence correct? So we know that A will be incorrect. How about looking at this number B? But A is the answer because it asks us to identify the fragment. So make sure we're paying close attention to the directions to make sure we're identifying the fragment and if some asks you for the correct sentence. So pay attention to those and don't get that mixed up. However, if we were looking for the correct answer or the way the sentence should be written for question A, we would look at B. I had ice cream on my shopping list, comma, but I forgot to buy it, period. My family would be mad with me. As a complete subject, complete verb, and a complete thought. However, we're looking at the punctuation. So since the punctuation is correct with that sentence, that will be the correct answer. Okay? So if we look back through our textbook, we mentioned that there are certain ways that you can correct the run-on sentence as well as a comma spice. So let's go back to it. The first will be on page 102 in your textbook. 102. Run-on and comma spices. A run-on is made up of two complete thoughts that incorrectly run together without a connection between them. Here is an example of a run-on sentence. Dolphins have killed sharks. They never attack humans. The complete thought are dolphins have killed sharks and they never attack humans. Now let's look at this. A comma spice is made up of two complete thoughts that are incorrectly joined or spiced together with only a comma. A comma spice is not enough or is not sufficient to connect two complete thoughts. Here's an example of a comma spice. Dolphins have killed sharks, comma, they never have attacked humans. So some sentences just cannot be fixed with a comma. You're going to need a joining word. This is how we're going to correct them. Look at the bottom of page 102. Use a period and a capital letter. So the run-on sentence is the computer hummed loudly. The sound was annoying. It doesn't have any type of punctuation throughout the sentence. Let's look at the comma spice. The computer hummed loudly, comma. The sound was annoying. Remember what we said, a comma is not enough to fix the run-on sentence. So that's a comma spice. The correct sentence should state, the computer hummed loudly, period, ending that sentence. Capitalizing the in the next sentence. The sound was annoying, or the sound was annoying. So that's the first method, which is to use a period and a capital letter. The second method is use a comma and a joining word. This will probably be more of the most common methods that you would probably use, especially with your homework assignment as far as your assessment. At the bottom of the assessment, you are to use the incorrect sentence to pretty much form your own sentence, making sure that it is written correctly using punctuation or adding a joining word along with the comma. So let's look at method 2. Use a comma and a joining word. Connect two complete thoughts into one sentence using a comma and a joining word. Perhaps the most common joining words are and, but, and so. Okay? So for example, the first one, a run-on sentence. Dolphins have killed sharks. They never attack humans. Comma spice. Dolphins have killed sharks, comma, they never attack humans. Remember we said a comma by itself is not sufficient to complete or correct a run-on sentence. So that we consider a comma spice. The correct sentence would say, dolphins have killed sharks, comma, but they never attack humans. That would be the correct sentence. Now let's look at page 112. 112 will tell us another form of comma spices, and it will pretty much tell us how we can change words as well in the sentence to make it correct. In this particular type, we're going to use a dependent word. A dependent word is changing two complete thoughts, making one part of the complete thought depending upon the first part using a dependent word. For example, a third way is to add a dependent word to one of the complete thoughts. The sentence would then include one thought that depends upon the remaining complete thought for its full meaning. Here are some examples of common dependent words. After, although, as, because, before, if, even if, since, unless, until, when, where, and while. Okay? For example, we'll look at the run-on sentence in comma spice a comma spice considered in the previous chapter. But let's look at an example. Run-on. Dolphins have killed sharks, but they never attack humans. But of course it says, dolphins have killed sharks, they never attack humans. Remember that it's our run-on sentence. Comma spice. Dolphins have killed sharks, comma, they never attack humans. It's lacking a joining word. So a comma alone does not make it sufficient. Using a dependent word, although, the sentence can be corrected as follows. Although dolphins have killed sharks, comma, they never attack humans. So it is making one complete thought dependent upon another complete thought to make it a correct sentence. So using a dependent word. Okay? Let's look at another example. And some of these examples are really kind of focused on punctuation. So punctuation, when a dependent thought begins a sentence, it is followed by a comma. Okay? Run on. The roads are covered with ice. School has been canceled. Corrected. Because the roads are covered with ice, school has been canceled. So we're making one complete thought dependent upon the other complete thought. This is basically what your assignment is going to be on this week. We want to make sure we identify fragments. Does it have a subject? Does it have a verb? Is it lacking a complete thought? Are you not understanding what the subject is doing, where they went, who the subject is? Then ask yourself, is this a sentence fragment or this is a complete sentence? So you want to be able to identify those sentences as well as completely identify a fragment. We're going to be completely looking at them based on fragments. Like I said, based on looking for a subject, verb, or a complete thought, as well as looking at punctuation. So we're going to look at how the sentences form. Is it breaking up? Are the periods breaking up the complete thought? If so, then it's probably not how it should be written. Let's look at another one. Quick example. A stranger came to our door, period, to apologize for hitting the mailbox, period. He gave us money to have it repaired, period. Are we breaking up a complete thought? Yes, we are. It should be a stranger came to our door to apologize for hitting our mailbox, period. He gave us money to have it repaired. So in this case, B will be the correct answer because we're looking for the fragment. If we were looking for a complete sentence, as stated, we would not break up that sentence with the period because that's a complete thought. A stranger came to our door to apologize for hitting our mailbox, period. He gave us money to repair it, period. So how are we looking at our punctuations? Are they breaking up our complete thoughts? Where should a comma be? Where should our periods be? Let's look at those things. Let's make sure we keep those in mind when we're completing our assignments for week 3. In the meantime, I do want you guys to go ahead and start reading. Look at your syllabus. Go ahead and start reading ahead of time. Please read. Please ask questions if you don't understand. My number is on the syllabus. I will answer. I am here for you. So please, please, please do not do this alone. If you don't understand, ask questions, okay? And make sure your work is done before you leave today. Thank you.